It's on the void.
Yeah.
So you start here. Easiest part role I can do with is most of the time outside of it. Yeah. Yeah. And we have this on the share too, if you want hard or soft copies.
Yeah.
Alright.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Our numbers keep multiplying, and we are starting to get a little more balance on this side, so that's good. I'd like to start off this meeting and welcome our president to kick us off. Ms. Bollinger, please come on up and get us going.
Thank you, Clea. You're all please rise. If you do so, please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, including our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a timer today? Is there anybody who would like to fill in this timer today? Clea, great. What we like to do when we start a meeting, we have the timer, invocation timers I do for our guests here. And they give an invocation, kind of gives it going, kind of jazzes up. Here it is, 7:45 in the morning. We like to do a little extra energy there. So if you don't mind, please, Madam Invocation Timer.
Let's get really creative.
Off her head.
Off the top of my head.
Yep.
Whatever you are ready for is ready for you. Let's go. Wait, kick us off.
Feel free to be seated. Next up on the agenda here is to welcome our guests. I do notice we have a guest here. If you would care to do so, why don't you tell us who you are, what brought you here, and how you heard about us?
Sure, do you want me to stand?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, so my name is Adrienne Leahy, and I'm here so that I can become a more effective public speaker, something that I've wanted to do for quite a while, but I just haven't sort of got together to do it. And I am here at TechMasters because I am not a technologist, but I want to understand it better. So I thought, well, I can combine the two things and two birds with one stone. So here I am.
Great. Welcome.
Thank you.
Secretary is out. Do we have any minute? Do we have any minute from a previous meeting? Anybody else? No. Moving along. New business. Trying to think if we should do officer election now or at the end. Any preference? Anybody has?
And
And right, sounds good. Then we'll know that. Great. Do we have any other business?
no.
How about announcements?
Yes. I have an announcement. As we mentioned, I guess 2 weeks ago, and you probably mentioned it last week, the month of June, we're doing membership drives. We're going to kind of theme the drive as, we got to come up with a snazzy name, but all technology related. So small, short talks on technology of different areas, I guess. I'm putting together topics and a schedule, and I'll send it out to you guys by Thursday. I'll have time to work on it tomorrow night more. So keep your eyes open for that. And I'm not sure if you're going to start promoting it, but if we are, we probably want to get the location stuff settled. So we can
Immediately, we'll do that and have everything completely ironed out next Tuesday for sure.
Okay.
And at least somewhat started. Okay, great. All right, any other announcements? All right, a little light for what we have over here, but we have the Twin Cities News Group, the first Thursday of every month, meets right here. That's in 2 days, and this month's topic is the Applying Internet of Things. And of course, again, I think it's the Minnesota Information Security Conference, and that's on the 14th and 15th. Awards tracker, if you have your manuals, please take them out. If you don't, write them next week. Okay, thank you. Is there anything we need to do and update this? Any manual speeches getting less? I don't think so. They're too important. believe so. All right, so today's Toastmaster. Today's Toastmaster is, I believe, a first-time Toastmaster. If possible that she was a Toastmaster in her previous club, but I'm not 100% sure. But if she is the first time she will be Toastmaster today, she's done a great job in her short time here. Please help me welcome today's Toastmaster, Leanne Bellell.
Good morning. So, welcome, Adrian. So today's theme, I thought, we're in the look at what's going on in May, which is a busy month, lots of holidays and things going on. So our first theme that I thought I would present was Cinco de Mayo, which is actually Spanish for literally 5 of May. It's a celebration commemorating the Mexican Army's unlikely victory over the French forces at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th in 1862. So we do have a full schedule today with 2 speakers, and I think everybody is here that has a role. Although look, I don't see William, he's court jester.
I think he might be
Oh, okay.
joke.
Anybody want to step in quickly?
I can do a joke. I'll pick the first one I find online here. So
All
I
right.
can't guarantee it will be pertinent, not offensive, or good, but I'll read it.
Nice.
Ordinarily, staring is creepy, but if you spread your attention across many individuals, then it's just people watching. Yeah, no guarantees.
Thank you. All right, next we have our 1-minute Toastmaster, who is Mike Benkovich. And Mike shared with me when I asked a little bit about him, he said, I don't know what he said.
I don't remember what he said. I think he said he was handsome. Pretty sure.
All right, Mike said he was handsome.
Welcome. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, Adrian, and I didn't catch your name, but Eric. What I want to say is that if you've got 60 seconds as a 1-minute Toastmaster to get out there and share some kind of a nugget, some kind of information that is supposed to be helpful and useful. And when you think about it, you come out to Toastmasters, you jump up, you're being invited to participate in different ways and share some of that energy. It's like the way the wave comes up, from the ocean, and you can see, all kinds of great stuff, all that potential. And the challenge is just trying to make sure that you're ready for that job. And yeah, we didn't have a court jester who was actually here like he should have been. So jokes or some kind of a one-liner, you can stand up and participate. And I like the way that Brett really did that, because it is all about how can we have some participation. And even if you show up late, then it's like you can drop one of those one-liners, and it really works great. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Madam.
Thank you, Mike. Next, I'm going to introduce our grammarian, which is Clea. Clea, so it's actually a very busy month for her, and it's turning out to be one of her busier years. So, Clea.
Thank you. So as the grammarian, I have 2 roles. I will be dinging anyone who says and ah, or my favorite so. And I will also be giving us a word of the day. And today I wanted to do a word sticking with the theme in the English language, so they're actually Spanish adopted and made into our own. And one of those words is aficionado. So the word of the day is aficionado. It stands for an ardent devotee, a fan, an enthusiast. Synonym. An example could be, I am an aficionado of Bravo TV shows. So try and use that word as much as possible during the day. Thank you.
So next I want to introduce our table topics master, which is Tony Bierstead. Tony shared in terms of things about the month of May is a big one for him. It's his 9th wedding anniversary, so. Pardon me?
On me.
5th, which is also second last. So welcome, Tony.
Thank you. I thought I'd run with the theme of holidays that happened during the month of May. You made your selection of a theme made it easy. And there are some nice websites out there. One that lists dozens of holidays for this month. So the rules for today is I'm going to give a series of questions, and I'll give you a particular day and give you maybe 2 different holidays that you can choose from as to what that holiday means. And you have to tell us why and what you think of that holiday. Or alternately, if you'd rather, pick a number between 1 and 31. It must be an integer, and you can use 1 or 31. I say that for the software people in the house who tend to think literally and might choose pi. Pi Day, of course, is March 14th. So to begin with this, Brett. I'm going to start at the beginning of the month with May 1st. May 1st, of course, is May Day. In Minneapolis, they have a huge celebration, that big parade. But it's also Mother Goose Day. Which of those 2 holidays would you like to talk about? Why?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. May Day or Mother Goose Day, or I can pick a number from 1 to 31. Does that have to be in May?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know much about May Day or Mother Goose Day for that matter. So I'm going to talk about a day that I do know, which is May 20th, I think, which is my sister's birthday. Now, if you ask my dad when my sister's birthday is, her birthday is May 10th, and my birthday is June 20th, but it's really the opposite. My birthday is June 10th, and her birthday is May 20th. So I got a call from them on Saturday morning, and they said, "Oh, we're out at the campground. Bring your kid, come out here, we have something for you." I'm like, well, why would they have something for me? So we drive to the campground, it's not too far from our house, bring some beer and some hot dogs and, get ready to eat. And my dad and mom come out with wrapped gifts for me. And it's May 1st now. I don't know, whatever Saturday was, and I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, I like gifts, but why do I have gifts? So I opened it, and I got this brand new coffee maker that I wanted for my office, and some compostable filters and all this stuff for our new garden. And I'm unwrapping it, and I'm like, okay, thanks, what's this for? And now apparently my mom has forgotten when my birthday is. So your birthday's in May, so like, no, and my sister's there. And she's like, well, where the heck are my gifts? It's my birthday. Or May 1st now is this day. So I guess it's May Day, Mother Goose Day, and Brett's birthday. So with that, I'll turn it over to the table.
On May 20th, it is also Be a Millionaire Day, National Bike to Work Day, and Pick Strawberries Day. So there are a number of Western holidays. Okay. Jesse.
Give everyone else.
Okay, Mike. Coming up this Sunday, of course, is one of those days that everybody should probably celebrate Mother's Day. But it's also No Socks Day. Would you care to expound on one of these holidays?
Mr. TechMasters, what about May 7th?
May 7th. Let's see what. We have Earth Mother's Day and National Tourism Day.
Mr. TechMasters, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. One of the great things about the whole idea of the month of May is that in my family, that is the month of the birthdays, in part because on May 1st, my nephew Zach was born. On May 7th, my nephew William was born. On May 9th, my nephew Jimmy was born. On May 8th, my Aunt Julie was born. On the 20th, my Aunt Mary was born. And there's all of these different things going on, but perhaps the most important one, of course, is my daughter, Brooke, who was born on May 7th. And this year she's going to be 19, and she is in college, or no, she's going to be, wait a second. Oh, yeah.
Are you sure it's May?
Going to be 19. Trying to figure out how old am I? Yeah, okay, just take that and have a bunch of numbers, and it just gets all larger, and it's one of those aficionado kind of things, because it's like, how do I really draw that back there? But May is a time where all of a sudden all the flowers, all the spring comes out, and there's nothing quite like Minnesota in the spring, because there is so much beauty. It's the air, the snow, the flowers, the trees, the pollen, the allergies, and all of the things that make Minnesota great, I think, are really exemplified in May, and especially May's special day in our house, and something that we're looking forward to. Mr. TechMasters.
Thank you. William. Actually, there are two different holidays in celebrate that occur in May that are in celebration of various media things. May 4th is Star Wars Day, as in May the 4th be with you. It is also on May 11th we have Twilight Zone Day. Which of these holidays do you celebrate and why?
Thank you, Mr. Tabletop Master. On the question of which holidays do I celebrate?
Or alternately pick a date, another day in May.
I like the question, Twilight Zone Day or Star Wars Day, May the 4th be with you. I'm gonna go with Twilight Zone, because that is a show that was interesting to me when I was just a young child and still watched it on black and white late at night. And the one Twilight Zone episode that really stuck in my head, and they were all crazy, but this one I thought was the craziest. It was a woman who was disfigured and she had surgery. Has anyone seen this one? The woman is disfigured and she has surgery, and the whole 20 minutes, I think the Twilight Zone were half an hour, so the whole 28 minutes of the show is everyone looking at the woman, so you never really see what her disfigurement is. And then at the very end of the show, they say, we did everything we could, I'm not sure we could fix this, or something to that effect. The camera switches around, and everybody in the hospital room is hideously disfigured, and this woman is beautiful. And that just goes how the Twilight Zone kind of works. When you think you've got it figured out, you don't. So I would definitely go with the Twilight Zone.
And what's the name of that?
No idea.
I had to be open.
I had to be old.
Brian. Nearing the end of the month, on May 30th, we have one of our national holidays, Memorial Day. Care to expound on how you celebrate Memorial Day?
Thank you, Mr. Tabletop Topics Master. It's kind of funny, the holidays with either Labor Day or Memorial Day, my daughter, who's just graduated last year, gets those confused. Where I remember the Memorial Day to coincide with May, and May I coincide that with lots of yard work that takes up all my time. Where I'd rather be out there barbecuing and enjoying the weather, but I face the struggles with all the infamous yard work that we enjoy. We look forward to the summers, but we burden ourselves with a lot more extra yard work. So that's what I would think about related to Memorial Day. The one thing I guess is a good thing about Memorial Day is it's a good excuse where you take the time off, even with all this yard work, and continue to enjoy what we've done in the beginning of the month. Thank you, Mr. Table.
Alex. May 14th is a very important, we have a couple very important holidays that fall on. We have National Train Day and Dance Like a Chicken Day in honor of the chicken dance, which is traditional at most American weddings. Would you care to expound on one of these?
Thank you, Mr. TechMasters, because you prepared this question especially for me. What can I say about National Train Day? I think I should know about this holiday maybe about like 5 years ago. My younger son Matthew was consumed by Thomas the Tank Engine. About 3 years, I guess, maybe from his like 3-year-old to 6-year-old, we have variety of tank engines, wooden, metal, Thomas, Percy, Gordon, and I'm ashamed that I forgot all their names. We watched movies, we ran them unpowered, ran them powered, whatever. But interesting enough that we are thinking it still never ends. But later came Lego and some Star Wars and how to build Falcon from 100 pieces, and Thomas disappeared, and we have a couple of them and good memories. And I think I really would celebrate with National Train Day like 5 years ago. Now I guess this is a different time. Thank you.
Thank you. Clea. May 13th has, this year, is the one and only Friday the 13th. It is also Leprechaun Day. Please tell us which you would prefer to celebrate and why.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Leprechaun Day or Friday the 13th? Friday the 13th has always had this ominous reputation, and I'm not exactly sure why that has ever occurred. I'd like to do some research to figure out why Friday the 13th is thought of as such a bad day, or assume that bad things are going to happen. Just like, why is seeing a black cat bad, or odd numbers bad, or any of the other superstitions? Stepping on a crack, you break your mother's back. There's lots of weird superstitions that go along with Friday the 13th. Maybe it's to do with witches and the fear of paganism or people who are different. Whatever the case may be, Friday the 13th to me is always sort of an exciting day because people are extra cautious, and I don't believe in that superstition, so I throw caution to the wind and be more eccentric than normal. So that's what I will be celebrating on Friday the 13th. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a very important holiday coming up on May 12th. May 12th, Limerick Day. Now, assuming you can find one that is suitable for mixed company, you could answer this question by simply giving us a limerick and Toastmasters in general. Or you might want to pick another day of the month. Would you like to celebrate?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Well, I have to say, I'm not particularly a limerick aficionado. I actually can't remember any right now at all, so that's, perhaps I'll pick a different day. An important day for me in May is May 29th. It's the date that my wife and I got married 17 years ago. And so we celebrate that day. And we'll typically go out and do something fun to remember the fun time we had many years ago. Now, there are some times where, and in fact next year, where May 29th will also be Memorial Day. And on those occasions, which has happened a couple times, we recognize Memorial Day as a very serious and somber day in that what it means, I lost an uncle and who served. And so we do look at when it coincides and we plan something a little bit different. But this year, our wedding anniversary does not fall on Memorial Day, so we will go out and find a lighthouse or North Shore or something fun to do for the weekend. And that's it.
Thank you. Tatiana? May 18th has a number of important holidays that fall on it. Pick days and tell us why you like it. We have International Museum Day, No Dirty Dishes Day, and Visit Your Relatives Day.
It's actually all great. I like museums, and it goes actually back, probably there are more dates in June when actually museum night in different cities, and some museums are open till midnight, like Walker. So I can relate to May 18 and go to a museum or art gallery and meet great creative people. No dirty dishes. This is a rule that always in my house. My husband is very picky about dishes. I never have dirty dishes in my house. So I should celebrate this holiday starting this year. Thank you.
I found last night in doing my research and prep for this, having an easy thing, I found a site, holidayinsights.com, the May 2016 Bizarre and Unique Days list. It was obviously put together by an aficionado of holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Master. So we are going to take a 5-minute break. We will come back at 8:16. Okay, so 8:16, and then if the general evaluator, the two speakers will come up and we'll follow up here. Thanks.
And evaluators.
And evaluators, sorry. Thanks.
First project.
Oh, okay.
And this is just telling you how it works. And gives this book to somebody else.
Well, I'll watch. It's up to you. Either way, if you want to do it, you can. We have extra value.
For a while,
We jump into it.
We have this.
Yeah, you guys
particular fit
I'll watch because I'm just still checking on how we did it. It's
I guess I'm already here. So would you like me to write a book or on a form or just free form friends? So I've got this printed out for my second.
Wait, actually, and we have like a form.
Just something wrong with this.
This is someone had prompted something that I did to the spring convention over the weekend. What?
You're not really good at writing, so. I usually write so probably do that.
So I learned about staying over the weekend and now we're.
And are you 5 to 7? Then you're kind of. Yep.
One running by your house.
Yeah, I think so. I ran,
Eric. I'm debating on whether we should. For some people it is, for other people it's really.
Yeah, I love your necklace.
Yeah, I was looking at that too.
Yeah, it's very, it's sort of half Art Deco, half
Yeah.
like Egyptian digital sheet kind of thing.
Sort of.
It's, I was lent it this weekend and I happened to appropriate it again today.
Are you coming next week?
You guys are speaking.
I am.
I am speaking. My eyes. I feel like I could speak it. You know a good deal about it. I do. Yeah, that's good. There are a couple of surprises. How's everything going with the new team? Oh, it's great. I'm really enjoying it. It's great to work on projects. Oh, it's those little things in life, right? It really is. It's natural. We have a tree right outside, and I see downy woodpeckers sometimes. The little bee ones? Yeah. I used to have a group leader, you know, they're all like walking around. I've had this project in mind for a couple of years, for about a year now. I create cameras and I set up this camera trap, so the Internet of Things solution to monitor the bird feeder. Maybe get some image processing in there, some machine learning to identify different birds. We'll see how far we can take this. I wanted to build sort of a weight-sensitive capacitor map to shock squirrels. Oh, squirrels they can eat too. They can eat something else. No, they can share.
The trick
It's
is
operant conditioning.
you feed them cheap stuff, but so we have the expensive birds, and then we tend to grease the poles. But I was looking at we just use Pam and just spray the poles. It's just kind of funny because they think they're
oh yes,
that's hilarious to watch. But I saw a machine learning thing where in visual processing where God designed a system to recognize a swarm of birds to a swarm of birds. And it was really cool. And I thought, I was so funny. I gotta build one of these. This is cool.
No, I defend this from. So we had a board. My dad nuts. So he spent the entire summer like have art traps, trapping them, and then driving like hours away. It was the entire so he had like this one squirrel that he could catch called like Houdini. Anyway, I have a it was Houdini because I let him out all the time. Yeah, one day I told my dad that. I have a bunch of squirrels.
We have always fed squirrels, but we just feed them. In fact, our Seattle house, all along the decking, I built on the outside rail, I built rain gutter and a sliding door, and we just loaded that. There's an industrial mix. It's got peanut and cracked corn and some stuff like that. It's like junk rate, and so we feed them that stuff. And they'll leave and those feeders. we actually buy squirrel feed by the 50-pound bag, and here too. But yeah, we just dump it in those trays, and then I just hose it out.
Oh, on the timer. I got some.
Feels like we're a little.
It's showtime.
It's showtime. So welcome back. We are going to have, we have two speakers today, Vince Holder and Katie Shimizu. Thank you. Before that though, we are going to take one more step into events in the month of May with a little history lesson on the Kentucky Derby, which is happening this Saturday. And fun fact, I did not know this, but it is the longest running sporting event in the United States. Dates back, it's considered the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. So tune in for that on Saturday. So Vince will be our first speaker, and Vince, a little bit of fun fact on Vince, he shared that his wedding anniversary is on May 4th, the Star Wars May 4th will be with you. Years as it is Wednesday. So Vince will be speaking on Toastmasters education, so please welcome our President Vince.
Yeah, I stole that joke from my grandma. You'd always say, we've been married for 40 long, miserable years. So I'll be saying the same thing forever now. Look, this past Saturday, I had the pleasure of going to the spring convention. I didn't really want to go because I didn't want to pay it. I have kids and a wife and stuff, and I just had other stuff going on. But they're like, we're going to give, oh, I should have brought the little pin. We're going to give you an award. And I said, okay, fine, so I'll go. So I have something called a Triple Crown, which is what you get if you get 3 education awards in the same year. So I had the Advanced Communicator Bronze, Competent Leadership, and Advanced Leadership Bronze. So they gave me something. Anyway, so I went there, and I brought the Gilded Gavel because I was asked to show off that we had it. So I did. And one thing I learned about, because whenever I go to these events, I always find out things that I had no clue even existed. And one thing I learned that I wanted to share with you guys was the Toastmasters Revitalized Education Program. We have an education program, and if you're elderly like Mike is, you actually had a different education program when you started. So he has some old acronym thing next to him that doesn't exist anymore for people, most of whom are dead. But we have a current one that's been in place for some time now. It's being revitalized. It's so old, Mike's old award is so old that it's 2 generations of education programs old. So without further ado, which we learned means silly, unimportant talk, let's get into the Toastmasters Revitalized Education Program. So what is it? It is an update to the Toastmasters Education Program. It is to be implemented in the next 5-ish year. They're basically saying that they're going to come out with these new projects and everything. It's going to supersede the manuals I keep telling you guys to bring out. And they're going to roll it out through different districts over the next few years. And then they're going to have a little bit of overlap where you can kind of complete your old manuals and get them kind of converted to the new one. All right. The content pilot was completed this past December. Apparently there were like 160 clubs that were tested out saying, hey, can you run these in your club and see what you think, and see, can we get some feedback, see if we want to change the projects a little bit. Why are they doing it? They want to give a learning experience for the members that is tailored to personal and professional goals. That's kind of the thing I've been saying when people join up. I say, let's try to get goals that are meet in line with your professional and personal goals. Well, I think they've been hearing a lot about that and say, let's actually put that into our education program a little better. I myself have had problems with their website and with their education program, and I'd like to see that their website is, within the last year or two, you noticed it's about 25% less crappy, right? And they're kind of moving in the right direction with that. Also with their education program, it sounded pretty good, but then again, I have all the pieces. They're going to modernize the communication aspect of the education program. They're going to have a renewed focus on leadership. It's kind of, a lot of times people come here and they say, I want to work on my speaking skills. Well, another giant aspect of Toastmasters, the people kind of leadership portion of it. There is an entirely different leadership track, and a lot of people will get their Advanced Communicator Gold, and they haven't even finished the Competent Leadership yet. I find that odd. Also, they want to provide greater access to educational materials, expanded learning resources. A lot of times people will come up to us when we're trying to work on their icebreaker or something, and they say, can I have examples of this, or do I get just these 3 pieces of paper and my manual and that's it? And if you're a mentor, you have to work with them out, that sort of thing. Well, they want to give you a lot more learning resources to find online, so it maybe takes a little bit of the burden and reinvention of the wheel for each of the members and mentors, right? And they want an educational experience with real-world applications. Sometimes you go, well, that's nice that I learned that weird speaking tip that I'll never use. Where are we in the step toward this new education program? They've identified 58 new projects. Most of them are kind of existing ones that they're retooling a little bit. So it isn't like, oh, all the stuff you learned is stupid, don't worry about it. We have 58 entirely new different skills that we're going to teach you. No, most of them are just reworkings of what they currently have, but updated, and maybe they're a handful of new things. They identified competencies to learn per project instead of just saying, here's what you do, they're saying, here are the things you're working on, so that you can kind of track your progress a little bit better. They're going to put up videos, tutorials, and guides for all the projects online, which I think is kind of the coolest part of it. Of all things that I took away, that was kind of the thing that said, this is going to be the most used, most interesting one, and we'll desuckify the website a little bit more. So that's great. There's going to be an initial assessment for all members, so that it'll help determine your learning path. It's a phrase we're coming back to, but a little bit more tailored education program. And when you first start out, we already have a new member profile, but it'll be a little bit more detailed to help you along in your education path. They're going to have a phased roll, and I heard early 2017, and I also heard that we're going to be one of the earlier districts to join. So probably we'll see these things next year. Okay, deep dive disciplines. They kind of centered around 5 core disciplines: public speaking plus interpersonal communication plus strategic leadership, interpersonal communication plus management, public speaking plus management, and public speaking plus strategic leadership. So as you can see, a lot more of an emphasis on leadership, because what is the tagline for Toastmasters? Where leaders are. That's where people get a little better at public speaking, right? And when you think about it, if you're a better leader, you're probably going to just inherently be a better public speaker, because you're a little more confident in helping people out, as opposed to being worried that people are judging you, right? That's what I think. That's what I take away from it. There are 2 learning paths per discipline, and there are 14 projects per learning path. There were 10 before, and I was 14. Not quite sure if this is going to be more or less work. I think it's going to be somewhat similar, but when all is said and done, they're making it a little bit more tailorable. All right, the individual projects. Learning paths will have 5 levels, each increasing in complexity. Level 1, mastering fundamentals, 3 projects. 2, learning your style, 3 projects. 3, increasing knowledge, 1 required, 2 elective. Level 4, building skills, 1 required, 1 elective. And level 5, demonstrating expertise, 2 required, 1 elective. And if you notice that these levels kind of help you understand where you are. There are some cool graphics that I would have had to take a screenshot at the conference. I would love to show you, but I don't have it. Right. Deep dive evaluations. They're kind of revamping the evaluations as well. Standardized evaluation criteria has been developed to help increase consistency on evaluations, act as kind of a guide for the evaluations, or for the evaluators, help better measure speakers' presentation, and there's going to be an evaluation and feedback project that is required at the first level that I mentioned over here for each learning path. Members will learn skills for giving and receiving effective feedback for that particular learning path. All right, mentoring, going to be a little bit of a refresh on that as well. Eligibility requirements are not going to exist for mentors. Instead of just saying, yeah, whatever, you can mentor someone. They're going to actually have eligibility requirements. So they're going to formalize this a little bit better. Formalize mentor education and training so that members can develop skills that are needed to effectively encourage and guide and support protégés, and so that the mentors will be better equipped to help members overcome obstacles, be inspired to achieve long-term goals. All members must complete a required mentoring project at level 2. And then additional elective projects are available at levels 3, 4, and 5, if that was an area that you wanted to be a little bit better at. And if there was a need. Like right now, we have a bunch of new members, we need mentors. So what about my old awards, Vince? Are we just going to throw them away and start over? As Mike has shown from back in the 1840s, you can still use your old ancient manuals, your old ancient accolades. They will continue to be recognized as Toastmasters achievements. There will be new education requirement opportunities with new titles that I have no clue what they are, so no need to ask. Upon the full rollout, like I said before, there will be 2 years of overlap. So if you're in the middle, let's say we get a full rollout in 2019, you'll literally get 2 more years to finish whatever you're currently doing. So if you wanted to finish your advanced communicator goals, you got all the time in the world, no worries. It's not like next week we're going to be like, throw them all out. You're going to be done with everything by next week. Doesn't work that way. The Distinguished Toastmaster is still the highest level, and they're going to kind of figure out how that's going to play out. But in general, that's current highest level, and they're going to keep that with the same kind of distinguishment. And the Distinguished Club program is going to have to be updated a little bit, obviously, because the education program is a little bit different. So, will there be any help to all this? Is this all we're going to get? And in a couple of years, we're just like, all right, here you go. Nope. Apparently, there's something called Chief Ambassadors, and they will have subsidiary ambassadors to help go up to the clubs. I imagine district governors and area governors and things like that will be among them. Quick note, I will be an area governor next year somewhere in my neck of the woods, around like the Woodbury, Stillwater area. And there will be something called a learning master. There's extremely little detail on what these mean, but they mean something and they will help us. And with that, I will turn it back over to our presenters.
Thank you, Vince. So another fun little fact before we begin about the Kentucky Derby that I found interesting. So the history actually began in 1872 when Meriwether Lewis Clark, who was the grandson of William Clark of the famed pair Lewis and Clark, traveled to Europe. This Epsom Derby occurred in England, and they took the idea from there and brought it to the United States. So I want to introduce our next speaker, and also a new member, Katie Shimizu. Thank you. I apologize. So Katie shared that on May 5th in Japan, they celebrate Kodomo Day?
Or Children's Day.
Children's Day. So it's an opportunity to celebrate children and also thank their mothers. And Katie is going to give her first speech today from the icebreaker, which is called Happy Accidents for How I Escaped from the Lab. So please welcome Katie.
Okay, well, that's a great start. Oh, thank you, Madam Toastmaster, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start by stating what I believe is a truism, that I believe that we are all in some ways shaped by our early environments. My early environment was a university. I was quite literally born at a university hospital to a university professor. And at 7 weeks old, I was being babysat by a pair of grad students in my mother's office while she went off to give classes. So my early years were academia. And as I got older, I would sometimes be on campus for, well, I have a class, I don't want to hire a babysitter, or I just need to pop into the office, or I just need to stop and talk to these people. Katie, you come with me. So most of the adults in my early life were professors. I knew them as aficionados of subjects. They were neatly slotted into their offices and their disciplines with their field emblazoned on the door. And I assumed that this was just how things were, naturally. People with a monomaniacal interest in something who were paid to research and teach about it. I assumed that was where I would end up. So for the first 18 years of my life, I thought I will be a professor. I will be a professor like my mother, but not exactly like my mother because no one ever wants to be exactly like their parents. The only problem was that I didn't have a specialty. My mother was very, very into, she's a linguistics professor. And so at dinner time, she would be talking about etymologies. When she drove me to school, when I couldn't escape from the car, she would be teaching me how to declinate Latin verbs. It filled her life. She loved what she did. I assumed that this was what I had to become. This was how you actualized and realized yourself as an adult. And as I went through school, I found that I liked sewing. I liked science, I liked math, I liked English. I liked too many things. I could not fit myself neatly into any one discipline that I could go off and spend 5 years of what is arguably slave labor to become a PhD. So this was a great source of anxiety for me growing up. And when the time came to go to college, I had to choose a major. I assumed that this would be the path for the rest of my life. I thought, well, I guess I like chemistry. I'm good at chemistry. I get to work with my hands, and fire and glass are occasionally involved, so how bad can it be? So I became a chemistry major. And following in my mother's example, I devoted myself very fully to this subject. I did undergraduate research in my summers. I did pretty much all the classes in the department. And I thought, well, this is all right. This is what I'm going to be. This is going well. I'm well on my way to joining the hallowed halls of tenured professors. But something was missing. I still liked science. I still liked animals. I found out I really liked psychology as well. I didn't know that I could go to a PhD program and do that for the rest of my life. And then in the junior summer, I thought, well, I have one more year before I join the world of working adults, which I understood to be gray and dreary with those summers off. I'm going to do something, I rebelled a little. I said, I'm going to do something that I have always wanted to do that has no bearing on my path whatsoever. I'm going to volunteer at a zoo. It so happened that I went to college in Pennsylvania, in the western portion of the state. Pittsburgh was nearby, where the National Aviary is. I called them up and I said, I'd like to volunteer, but I only have a summer. Can I do my volunteer requirement hours within the summer? They said, that's called an internship, we'll interview you. So I went off to be an intern at the National Aviary. And this is where the happy accidents part of the title of the talk comes in, because it turned out that I loved working with birds. I loved stomping around in giant rubber boots being chased by giant blue pigeons, which do exist, look them up, they're from South Pacific. I absolutely loved working with these animals. I loved communicating with the guests. I loved the personalities of the birds. I loved building relationships with both human and feathered creatures. Sometimes the feathered ones a bit more. I thought, okay, well, I approached this intellectually. That didn't work out so much. I had gone back to campus and found myself walking around talking to an invisible cockatoo to just kind of cheer myself up during my senior research project. I'll go off and be a bird trainer. This is what I really love. This is emotionally fulfilling. I don't need to worry about money. I mean, do what you love and the money will follow, right? I came from a family of educators. This is what I've been told for many years. So I finished my chemistry degree, and well, then it was time to gain some experience in the bird world, because you don't just walk up and say, I'd like to work with your penguin collection. They'd say, okay, how many penguins have you worked with? At that point, if you say, you got to go back and try again. So I did internships. I worked at the Raptor Center. I trained a falcon at a small wildlife rehab center in Pennsylvania. I loved it. It was fantastic. And after about 3 or 4 years of this, I ended up going and working at a bird show down in Florida. If you've ever been to the Animal Kingdom Wings of Wonder show, that was where I was. I am a native Minnesotan. It was my first time south of the Mason-Dixon line. It was the height of summer, and our work was entirely outdoors. I still loved the birds. I still loved talking to people on the stage, but I found myself starting to miss math and science. And I started to wonder, where am I ever going to fit? Well, my contract was up at the end of the summer, so I knew at that point that birds, while fantastic, were not going to be my career choice for life. So I came home, and my mom said, well, Katie, you can always come home. Come back to campus, come take a class, we'll take you back in. I thought, well, what have I not done yet? How about computer science? I took a class, I loved it. It was fantastic, it was fun. I found I had birds, I had no fire ants, there were no noxious chemicals to inhale. I was still making things and working with my hands. And I found that I didn't have to give up science. I didn't have to give up birds or sewing or any of the things I loved. All of the things that made me me could still be there. I didn't have to fit myself into one discipline and teach that for the rest of my life. And that's how I got into IT.
Thank you for how you are such an aficionado of birds. So another fun fact before we shift to our general evaluation of our speakers, May Day, which is celebrated in many countries as a traditional springtime festival, is all way of honoring workers. So we're all honored on Sunday. Okay, so we are gonna bring up Jesse Poole, who is our general evaluator, and Jesse shared that earlier in life, he enjoyed Cinco de Mayo by partying, But now that he's older and arguably more boring, he's going to be celebrating Mother's Day this Sunday.
Thank you, Leanne. Had some great mom jokes, but I hope they weren't appropriate. I see you smiling there, Brett. But mothers are a special breed, aren't they? I'm going to ask right away that you all bow your heads so we can vote for the best speaker. For those of you who thought Vince's speech on Toastmasters Realized Education Program was the best, please raise your hand. Okay. And for those of you who thought Katie's speech, How I Escaped from the Lab, was the best, please raise your hand. Okay, thank you. All right, you may raise your heads. Now we come to the most important part of the meeting, our speech evaluations. And today we have Maria evaluating Vince. Marie evaluating Vince and Brett evaluating Katie. And Marie, would you start off with evaluating Vince, please?
Sure. Well, Vince, this was an impromptu speech, Toastmasters Revitalized Education. So it wasn't from the book, it was an impromptu. Going through the kind of checklist, did the speaker favor one side of the room? No, you appeared to be very balanced. You were relaxed, you didn't have any nervous habits, you had a lot of energy. There was, you were projecting to the back of the room, so that was really good. And you were very passionate. It's clearly you're passionate about what you're talking about. And you were in command of the room. You described it you described this new education very energetically and very enthusiastically. You used hand gestures, and there was an opening of body and conclusion. You kind of described what you were going to talk about and how was the process, what was going to happen. And you used appropriate visual aids and slides. And I learned a lot. I'm really excited actually about the new education. So I think it was very relevant to all of us in the room, incredibly relevant because that's what we're here for. And so I think it was a really fantastic speech. You used a little bit of humor at Mike's expense. And you were very clear and very relevant. I learned a number of things, and this is really exciting to see the new education. A couple things I would say is that from my distance, the font was a little small, you probably whipped that up just this morning and a few minutes ago. And so that is to be expected. And you turned a couple times, but I think you got for an impromptu speech putting together really quick. That was really very descriptive, very relevant, very informative, and about the new education.
And next up we have Brett evaluating Katie.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Katie, first I want to thank you for your wonderful icebreaker. Icebreakers are always kind of a strange thing. As an evaluator, an audience member, you're never quite sure what you're going to get. But I think this was a fantastic icebreaker because we learned a lot about you, but we learned a lot about you through a common dilemma that we all have. We have expectations in life, the logical thinking of what we're going to do, and then we have our passions that are sometimes pulling you away from that. So you kind of went from the pressures of growing up in academia, which you seem to still enjoy and still had some love for, but you had this pull towards animals, so you chose to go there, and then at the end you resolved it by kind of realizing you could have both. And I think we all have lives like that. I went through music and ended up in computer science, and found I have all the things I love in computer science that I love in music, and so on and so on. So I loved your speech, it was awesome, but now I'm going to go through kind of the evaluation stuff. So what I thought was good, aside from the content, was you had a good opener. I think you said, I didn't have my keyboard out right away, but I think you said I want to start with a truism, and kind of pulled us in because we're like, oh, what's she going to say, what's she going to say? We got to know you a little bit about your early life, growing up with your mom, that sort of thing, so that was good. You had really great hand gestures. You could tell you were passionate about it, and you speak with your hands very much, and that was really good. Towards the end, you kind of I don't know if you were maybe getting a little nervous, but they kind of locked up. In the beginning, they were very expressive, and it was really helping me out. And it didn't get bad. It's just that you kind of stopped doing that. You asked me to look at your eye contact. I thought your eye contact was very good. The only comment I have on it is slow it down. You kind of tended to go like this really quick. And so the TechMaster rule is look at someone in the audience member or in the audience, give a thought, pause, look at someone else, go to your next thought. So you're giving people prolonged contact. You were engaging us, you were looking at all of us, but it can be a little bit more intimate if you spend a little bit more time with each person. So I slow that down a little bit. Other things I liked, you had a lot of really good one-liners, and I think it speaks to your personality. I'm guessing your friends and colleagues see you as somewhat sarcastic in some ways. So the hollowed halls of tenure, the gray and work life is gray and dreary with no summers off, happy accidents, the invisible cockatoo, all were really great kind of visualizations for us. Now things around the general format of your speech that you can improve on. When you walked up here, you kind of laughed a little bit and said, "Oh, I'm off to a great start." And then you turned around and like you were focused, you were good, you were right into it. Don't belittle the speech before you give it. You know, we all know you're probably maybe a little nervous walking up to me, your icebreaker, but it was a really great speech, and you don't need to kind of set an expectation by doing that, and you know, it doesn't help you a lot. And then at the end, when you walk out, you kind of did the same thing, but we were all thinking, wow, what a great speech. So with that said, I think it was very, very good. And the last comment I'll have is just you can move around a little bit. This room's a little awkward. You tended to kind of stand here. And the room the way it is, most people stand here, but try to, you know, maybe walk across in between thoughts and, you know, just talk to other sides of the room. All in all, thanks for the speech. I think it was really good.
Great evaluations. All right, I'm going to ask that you all bow your heads again so we can vote for the best evaluator. For those of you who thought Marie's evaluation of Vince was the best, please raise your hand. Okay, and for those of you who thought Brett's evaluation of Katie was the best, please raise your hand. Okay, you may raise your heads. All right, now I'm going to call on Kalea for the time report.
Sure.
Who's Kalea?
I go by multiple names.
Okay.
Okay.
Please.
It's okay. Leah, Clea, Chloe. I pretty much answered everything.
You had your name tag?
Nice recovery. Okay. Timing report is as follows. Everyone was right on track for time. Tatiana, you were a little short, but that was one of your first table topics, so great job. Speeches, I thought they both went a little long. Vince, you were almost at 10 minutes. Katie, you were just shy of 7 minutes, but that's within the range. Evaluations, Marie, you're just shy of 2 minutes, and Brett, you were a little over 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And I'll also give the Marion report as well. I was guilty of a few ahs. Marie, you had a few uhs. Brian, you had 2 ums. And Tatiana, you had an But otherwise, that was pretty good. Not many uses of the curse words. Aficionado, I forgot to keep track of that. So sorry, everyone. But use it all day. It's a good word. Thank you.
Thank you. We have another award given out by Leanne. Tony, sorry, for the Table Topics Master, the best Table Topics.
I have to say, I really enjoyed listening to everybody talk about different holidays. Taking and relating, like you took and tied all these birthdays together, and that was great. It was fantastic to hear everybody's thoughts. Brett, you took and ran a slightly different direction. That's one of those things that we're allowed to do. I think the one that I kind of enjoyed the fun, that was the most fun, William. I thought you did a great job by actually talking about a whole episode of the show and using that to illustrate why you wanted to celebrate Twilight Zone days. So.
Thank you. All right, and I have an award to give out for the best word picture or presentation, visual presentation, which,
What day is?
shoot, that one. Yeah, that's right, that's a speech. That's a speech.
Did you say visual presentation?
Yes, right?
That's the one.
There we go, that makes sense, actually. All right, well, I was gonna actually go to Katie by bringing us back in your history and your childhood, which was great. But actually, I'm gonna give it to Vince for kind of relating his old grandparents to something with Mike and TechMasters or something. So anyways, Vince. All right, and then we have the Best Evaluator Award. And help me out, evaluations are
Key.
Awesome. And that actually is very, very true. I still have the first evaluation I got from Brett the second time that I joined him, hanging on my wall to remind me some of the things that I have to do better. All right, and this award is going to go to Brett, who evaluated Katie. Brett. All right, and finally, we have the Best Speaker Award, drum roll. And going to Katie. All right, so my evaluation, the speeches were great, the evaluations were great. I think we're on time as well. I really don't have anything more to add. Tony, great table topics, very inventive. And Leanne, you did an excellent job. So I'm going to welcome back our Toastmaster today, Leanne.
Thank you, Jesse. So thanks to everybody. Great meeting. Our last award is the
Spark Club.
Spark Club. I was going to say Fuzzy Mouse. It's just like I'm going to present this to Leah, Chloe. Clea is always jumping in and doing extra roles, always sunny disposition this early, so adds a lot to it. It's a nice job. So with that, I'm turning back over to the President Vince. Oh, sorry.
All right, any new business? I have some new business. How about we have our officer election for 2016-17? Or the phrasing would be, if you could help me out as a parliamentarian, the chair would entertain a motion that we have the actually I think we already did this a couple weeks ago. So I think we're just gonna do it. Great, awesome. So what we've done in the past, we've had a slate. We've never actually had an election where we actually had to have people speak and give speeches and things like that. And I don't really want to do that anyway, so I'm not really going to entertain that. But if anybody wants to, shut up. We're not doing it. So the people who have signed up, I wanted to hear one last time. Did I hear right that you wanted to sign up for Sergeant International, right?
I could do that.
Great. No. Yes, very enthusiastically.
Recognizing that I do have a lot of travel this summer.
We don't need to just need to hear a few minutes early every meeting. Thanks. So, the officers slate, I would like to introduce them, and then we will have a vote. Hopefully, we will just have a yay or nay vote on the entire slate. If anybody has an objection to that, keep it to yourself. I want to hear it. So, if we could get our nominations, we'll start off. Marie, could you please stand up here, and we will start you off. Let's see. I'm going to say that you can't go any further than come in a few more feet. So you can get in. That should be good. All right, so for Sergeant Arms, we have Marie Fromm. Maybe stand up a little further so we can kind of go in the front here. Great. And let's see if I can remember everybody who said they wanted to do something. We have our returning treasurer, Brett Estabrooks. Pursuant to the election results. And we have our Vice President of Membership, Clea Levinson. Correct me if I get the title wrong. And our Vice President of Public Relations, Jesse Dooley. No chance of losing the shot now. And our, let's see, what were we going to do? Yeah.
VP of Education.
Who's
your VP of Education?
That's me. What are you doing?
Sorry. Secretary.
Secretary, there we go. If we could introduce our nominee for secretary, Mike Bevich. Our Vice President of Education, myself. And our nominee for president in 2016-17 year, Will Austin.
Look at this.
William Trump.
All right, so do we have, I don't know, how about something like the chair would entertain a motion for accepting the slate as is? Someone has to say so moved.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Do we have any discussion on this matter? Prefer to not have. Great. All those in favor of accepting the candidates before you in their slotted role, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thanks. And the ayes have it. Please welcome our 2016-17 Club Executive Committee. All right, go sit down and answer the question.
Anything
I can do to help?
I can go by all those.
Current slate candidates will take their assumed roles on, I believe, July 1st. Do we, so next week's schedule?
So when's the meeting?
What?
You want to bring up when the meeting is? Or do you not know yet?
Me.
You said sometime in May we're in March.
Yes.
We do it once a quarter, next one will be July 1st. All right. See, so next week's toastmasters is
Me.
all right. So Jesse, please get out a theme quickly, more like Leanne has done. Thank you for doing that much better than previous toastmasters in the last couple months for some odd reason. So please get us out a theme at least by way before Monday afternoon, and give us plenty of time so that we can go ahead and tailor our roles to that. And be on the lookout for that email, everybody, and respond to an introduction that you may have. And do we have any, do you have any other announcements before we go? Do we have a closing thought from our invocation timer, Clea?
Winning requires shifting your emphasis from won't power to will power.
And with that, I will adjourn the meeting.
Is there a